Hi, it's Kane Hodder, Jason from Friday the 13th. You're watching Slash and Cast. Keep watching, or I'll kill you and your whole family.
What's going on, horror fans? Welcome to another episode of Slash and Cast. My name is Riley, that is Nick, and before we get things started, we are indeed giving away an Xbox One S. That's 500 gigs brand new, 4K capabilities, it's what you want. It also stands vertically, which is why we're giving you a vertical stand as well. On top of that, we're giving away a copy of Friday the 13th the game. Links in the description to enter. Goes through Gleam. We do have a new way to enter that some of you guys may not have seen. You can actually now submit a question, a horror-themed question for Slashcast, which later you'll see. We got our first question that we're going to do. Killer questions, what we're going with. So when you're doing that, make sure you actually do a question. You, yourself, recording a question, upload a video, and then share it. It's worth 8 entries per hour. You can do that per hour.
And you'll be on the show at some point.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're gonna enter, make sure you do it the correct way, because if you don't, because we've already gotten a bunch of different spam links, Rickroll stuff going on, it automatically deletes all of your entries. Every single one of your entries is gone. You're automatically disqualified from the competition. So, good God, don't do that to yourself. I don't want anyone to be screwed out of it because they felt like cheating their way into 8 entries. Okay? That's for real fans, supporters of the show, to do that. Okay? That's why we wanted to have it to be worth so many entries. So if you're gonna do it right, or you're automatically be disqualified. Please don't get disqualified. I don't want that. That's
Stop it.
Don't do that. That's sad. Okay. Before we get things started as well, we want to mention the fact that Friday the 13th the game doesn't really have any major news, but we want to bring up the idea that the release date hasn't actually been released yet. But our guess is that it's this week, since they did pretty much confirm at PAX East that it will be an April release to hit early 2017. It will be April.
Right.
Which means after certification, they have to have a 30-day release window, at least for distributors, okay, in order to release in April. So that means it had to be this week. They'd have to have a release date announced this week. So that's what we expect.
Yeah.
We were hoping it would come out before we did this episode. We waited to the last second to film just in case they did. Didn't happen. But hey, man, keep your eyes out for the game this week. The only other news we really have is the fact that they did release a picture of all 10 counselors together. First time we've seen them all in one image like that. Yeah. That did not include Tommy Jarvis. Okay, so 10 counselors by themselves. No Tommy Jarvis. He's not a counselor. So yeah, that's pretty much all your Friday the 13th the game news. Make sure to head over to Twitter and keep up to date with what's going on. Well, let's go into actual topics for the day, huh? Zombieland 2 is finally pushing back forward. Zombieland came out in 2009 and made $102 million at the box office. Very successful in horror, especially at this time it was one of the few horror comedies to actually be successful. Of course, we had Shaun of the Dead before this, which already took that Zomcom thing going. 2011, Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg both threw out the idea of a sequel, saying, Harrelson said that he's not really a sequel kind of guy. Since then, he's obviously proven that wrong. If the money's there, he'll do it because Hunger Games, Now You See Me, he's clearly a sequel guy.
Yeah.
He just didn't, I think he's trying to get out of Zombieland. But, he looks like he might come back, okay? 2013, we saw an attempt at a Zombieland TV series for Amazon Instant Video, which ultimately failed after its pilot episode. I think that was mainly because the cast. Need the original cast is the key to making Zombieland work. So when you try throwing different people into the same type of character, it just didn't work out very well, and ultimately ended up failing.
Right. Now, writers Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, who penned the first Zombieland, and also they worked on Deadpool, which hilarious.
Yes, so they know what they're doing.
They said this in an interview. It is in active development. We're trying to get it going. All of our cast have read the script and loved it. Ruben has signed on. It is just a matter of making our cast deals and making it for a budget number. All the cast have become superstars now, so we made Zombieland with $20 million, so it's trying to fit the financial model into the sequel model that makes sense for the studio and being able to pay the actors what they now get paid and deserve to pay. We see Sony Pictures chairman Tom Rothman pretty frequently now, and it seems like we're pestering that dude. He's like, please, enough with the Zombieland talk. We're pestering him the way we pestered on Fox for Deadpool. We're not letting it go. We really want to see Zombieland 2.
Hey, that's good news.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously they're back on board, and it seems like most of the cast is. The big point in there is dude, the cast is all stars now. All of them, literally all of them are all stars. Jesse Eisenberg, who's been huge in Now You See Me.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson is in everything, including The Hunger Games and Now You See Me as well. Emma
and
Stone,
the Han Solo.
and
Han Solo film.
yeah. So they're all. Emma Stone. Jesus, she was just in La La Land. She's doing fine.
Oh yeah.
The smallest one is Abigail Breslin. That's just because she's younger.
Yeah.
But she's doing fine as well. So yeah, bringing that all-star cast back into a Zomcom is pretty tough. So it means you're gonna have to up the budget quite a bit. But I think it ultimately will make money. So that's pretty good news. Now, on top of that, Ruben Fleischer signed on to come back to direct if the original cast returns.
Right.
I don't blame him. Don't suck yourself into a film if you don't have the cast there.
Right.
Now, Eisenberg showed interest last year, saying, I would hope that it happens. I'm sure everybody would be happy to do it if it happens, and it's good. It's also a strangely beloved movie, so it's a thing you want to get right. So cool, man. Zombieland. It's finally, I didn't think we'd actually end up seeing a second one. So it's good to see it moving back forward. After the TV series, we thought it was officially going to die out.
If the money's there.
Yeah, if the money's there, they'll do it for sure.
But there is a lot of interest, so.
Yeah, there's a huge cult following behind the movie, so keep them going. All right, moving on. Death Note. Okay, the official trailer for Netflix's Death Note has been released. Okay, now Death Note is a Japanese manga series written by, I'm going to butcher this, Sungumi Oba and illustrated by Takeshi Yabata. Okay, so it's been pretty big.
Right. If you don't know Death Note, here is the plot. A student discovers a supernatural notebook that allows him to kill anyone by writing the victim's name, who then decides to cleanse the world of whom he deems evil. As the student is tracked by a reclusive police officer, a cat-and-mouse game ensues. That was with the original manga series, and then with the the first movie in 2006, it was Japanese. Didn't hear much about it.
Yeah, but now that it is coming to Netflix, the huge fans of the original manga series are kind of a little upset with what happened with the trailer. One of the main issues is predominantly it is a white cast. It's not odd for anything that comes to America to switch that over. Let's see. Look at The Ring, switched over to a white cast.
Netflix does have the resources and the actors available to get more of a Asian cast in there. Who knows? Who knows what they're doing?
Yeah, I really don't think that's the issue. The trailer was pretty weak from what we saw. Of course, we're only seeing. I think total was only about 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Not that it looked bad. It was just very. I don't know.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it was a little bit messy all around. But with 90 seconds, it's hard to judge it off of that. So that's actually good news for them.
Again, we don't want them to show us too much too, because then you won't need to watch it.
Yeah, so when it comes to films, when it comes to Netflix in general, it's usually hit or miss. They've been very hit or miss with films.
Visually, it's going to look great.
Yeah, true.
Who knows about the story and anything else in there?
Yeah, no matter what, it shouldn't be that bad.
No.
So, last thing we've seen in horror from Netflix was Stranger Things. Well, at least relating to something like Death Note is Stranger Things.
Right.
And
the Santa Clarita Diet, that was horror. It wasn't very, very good.
Right, yeah. So, hey, man, Death Note will premiere on Netflix on August 25th. So, still got quite a bit of time there before we see it. But
got to get that out before Stranger Things.
Oh,
Season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to have its run before then, or it's going to die really quickly.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to our next segment called Killer Questions. Our first killer question comes from user John Reddy, and he asked,
Hey, Slash and Cast. This seems to be a time where a lot of reboots are coming about, and even reboots of reboots, like yet another Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'm wondering, what series do you think is going to likely receive a reboot soon, and what series would you like to receive a reboot?
All right, well, first of all, John, thank you for your question. After a little bit of discussion, we figured out what makes sense to be rebooted next. It's probably not what you're expecting to hear, but I think Christine. Now, Christine is a story about, a nurse boy buys a strange car and ends up having an evil mind and of its own and starts to, kill people itself. But this was directed by John Carpenter, and it's based off of the Stephen King novel. Now, this is the reason it makes sense at this time for it to be remade is the fact that, one, Carpenter is pushing forward with the Halloween reboot. Okay, and it's bound to be successful in 2018. We know that. And then with it being remade, and it seems like Stephen King's behind it very much so, and if that's going to be successful as well, it makes sense to combine those two entities, put them together for Christine, and get that remade. As for what we want to see get remade, I think it's pretty obvious, and that is Friday the 13th. We'd like to see Friday the 13th get made. Not that we think it'd be like the best movie to be remade,
Right.
but the franchise itself is dying for a reboot. It's dying to get pushed forward again. With
Right.
the game pushing forward and all the love behind that, it'd be nice to see a movie with a good budget again push forward. And the 2009 remake isn't bad either.
Right.
I wouldn't even mind seeing a sequel to that, if that counts. But hey, if you want to be featured on Slashcast for killer questions, go ahead and onto Twitter. Upload your own video onto Twitter with hashtag #slashingcast and have a chance of being featured on the show. Also, if you want to do it in a competition fashion, you can do it on Gleam until Friday. So, and do it properly, or you will be banned from the competition.
Please.
All right. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next Slashcast topic, and that is World War Z 2. The last time we talked about World War Z 2 was actually for our top 10 anticipated horror films. It wasn't on that list itself, but it was an honorable mention. The only reason it was honorable mention is because we weren't sure about the release date. And
There was no information, no plot summary, no actors confirmed,
Right.
nothing.
Yeah. Now, we still don't have a release date or anything, but we do have a little more information. So previously, J.A. Bahona was in line to direct, but had to drop due to other commitments. From there, David Fincher, who directed Seven and Fight Club, is now in talks to direct, as they say he is very creatively interested. So not confirmed or locked into place, but he's very creatively interested, okay? Producer David Ellison recently said that there's a script that we're incredibly happy with, and it's just getting a couple of key deals closed, which would be Fincher. He said, we hope Fincher makes the movie. Hey, that's pretty cool. Now, Stephen Knight was previously replaced with Dennis Kelly to handle the rewrites of the script, and it seems at this time Brad Pitt is still expected to return.
I don't see how he could not.
Right. Yeah, there is 0 point in doing a World War Z 2 sequel if it's not Brad Pitt.
Right.
And now I imagine the process of dropping directors, not so much dropping directors, but getting new directors to fill the holes and getting a whole bunch of rewriting process is to get him into the role, make sure his agent's behind it. But once again, no release date is confirmed at this point, and Brad Pitt is not confirmed, but it does seem like he is coming back.
Right.
So, hey, solid news for World War Z 2. All right, man, now to our last topic of the day, the Puppet Master reboot. Okay, we haven't actually talked about this at all because this is another one where information has been limited, but now it's starting to really push forward, especially because shooting on the Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich, begins next week. Damn, just out of nowhere, it clicks right into place here.
Yeah.
Now, the entire cast, all right, this is a big list here. The entire cast includes Jenny Pellicer, Nelson Franklin, who's in Scott Pilgrim and Jobs, Charlene Yee, Cloverfield, Alex Bay, and then with John Rapace, of course, Barbara Crampton, who's in Death House, by the way. She's also in Beyond, Reanimator, You're Next, and Sunchoke. Tina Parker, who was in Breaking Bad and Final Destination. And then Skeeta Jenkins and the great Michael Pierre, who's in Streets of Fire. So Variety reported the actual synopsis of the film.
Right. Puppet Master The Last Reich centers on a recently divorced young man who discovers a mint-condition Blade doll in his deceased brother's closet and plans to sell the toy at a convention in Texas celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Incense Towlin murders. All hell breaks loose during the auction when a strange force animates all of the various puppets throughout the convention as they then go on a bloody killing spree.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Yeah, the Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich, which is an odd title. It is pushing forward, and it's going in a similar direction as the original did, which is exactly what you expect since this is a reboot. So Dallas Steiner and Amanda Prism are producing for Cinestate, along with Jack Heller of Assemble Media, Transformers producer, Lorenzo Di Bonaventura, okay, and Mark Redian of Di Bonaventura Pictures are also producers on the project, along with frequent Laguna and Wickham partner David Lijabat. So, whole bunch of people behind it, obviously, so that's great news. Puppet Master starts shooting next week. I haven't seen Puppet Master in forever.
Same.
It was a beloved franchise. Here's your other franchise return. More to come. There's so many franchise returns still happening. That's why, first of all, that's why there was another great question of the day. All right, man, that's going to be it for Slash and Cast today. Editor, roll that outro. Hey, you. Thanks for watching this episode of SlasherCast. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like and click that box right down there to check out last week's episode.
Also, if you want to check out the film the fans are calling the best fan film of all time, make sure you click that box right down there to check out our Friday the 13th fan film.
While you're at it, click that circle right there to subscribe to our channel and never miss a video again.
As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.